Welcome to the Worshipped Woman podcast. I am your host, Kelly Kristen. I am a life and relationship coach, deep healing facilitator, and subconscious change expert. On this podcast, we will dive deep into personal growth, transformation, and relationships, releasing patterns of toxicity, codependency, and people-pleasing as we explore what it means to be the worshipped woman. If you are ready to heal, embody your worth, and raise your standards in life and love, you are in the right place. I am so happy to have you here. Now, let's get started. Welcome back to the Worshipped Woman podcast. I am so excited to have you here. And there is so much happening inside of the Worshipped Woman, Kelly Kristen world going on right now. If you've been hanging out with me for a little while, you know that the podcast was very recently called Woman Unleashed. And with turning it into the Worshipped Woman and the vision that I'm really carrying for the Worshipped Woman right now is really to exist on a planet where women worship themselves, where they know themselves to be divine, where they know that they are so worthy of their own love, their own self-worship, and then their external reality reflects that. That's the journey that I feel I am on in my life, and I'm so glad that you are here with me. And as such, there's going to be some very, very exciting things happening within the Worshipped Woman brand, and I'm just very excited because it's kind of pushing me into new territory. So I just want to start by thanking you for being here and thank you for being a part of the vision because it's very, very exciting for me. Also, have you all seen that Life After Death special on Netflix? It's like a docu-series. I just need you to watch the first episode of that. I haven't watched the other ones. I started watching the second one and I was like, okay about it. But the first episode, and people are talking about their near-death experiences where they actually die and like what happens and how they get back into their bodies. It is wild. And if you don't believe in that we are not the only things that are happening on this earth, like just listening to that episode and hearing their perspective and how they change from a moment of seeing something that we don't normally get to see walking around, it's really unbelievable. I mean, I had goosebumps the whole time I was watching that. So definitely want you to get on that because it is a perspective shifter. I know for me that understanding that there's so much more to our existence than merely what we can see really helped me on my healing journey because it allowed me to connect to something greater than myself, something outside of myself that says, you know what, I can just trust because here I am trying to control everything. Here I am trying to think that my life has to be this certain way, but there's so much more and something else is guiding me and something is supporting me even if I can't see it. And I think that Life After Death special was just a huge, beautiful reminder of that. So highly, highly recommend. And if you do check it out and you're like, whoa, let me know. I also want to let you know that the waitlist for my Heal, Rise, Thrive group program for toxic relationship recovery is currently open. The next round is going to be starting shortly, and this group is just unbelievable. It's an 8-week program where we go so deep into understanding yourself, your patterns, why you got into toxic relationships, and understanding yourself so that you can actually become a new version of yourself. So the process through the program is a deep level of understanding with yourself, a deep level of love for yourself, and then really learning how to be a new way in your mind, in your body, in your nervous system, in your emotional capacity. It is such a beautiful healing experience, and it's a small group program. There are limited spaces. So if you want a spot, if you know that you're interested in this, you've been listening to me for a while and you're like, I know I'm missing something in my healing process, and you want my guidance and you want to do it with a group of women with similar goals as you, go ahead and click the link. I will put it in the show notes here to get on the wait list. You can also message me on Instagram. I'm at Miss Kelly Kristen on Instagram. You can always find me there, but I will definitely put the link in the show notes for you. So that if you want to get on the wait list, you can get on the wait list, because there is also a special bonus for you when you do get on the wait list. Okay, so to get into today's episode, I want to talk about something that is pretty important, and that, my dear friends, is people pleasing. Now, this is something that I know so many of you struggle with. I know that I used to struggle with this as well before I really got the level of self-awareness that I have now, and understanding exactly where people pleasing comes from and how to transform that within myself to honor myself first. And people pleasing is something that we do when we consider everybody else's needs above our own. We think that everybody else matters more than we do. And really, it is a form of self-betrayal. Now, this is something that you learn. You, of course, don't come out of your mama's womb just being a people pleaser and thinking that you don't matter and other people are more important than you. And you might not even outwardly think that, right? Like, you might not have the thought process that other people are more important than me and I have to do everything for others. But if you really think about what's going on when we people please, we are basically saying, I will sacrifice myself, my own needs, and what I really actually want to do in an attempt to please you. And oftentimes we actually don't even really know if we're pleasing the person. Like, sometimes we might do something thinking that it's what the other person wants us to do, but we're really just making a guess. But then there are times where we will actually just betray ourselves, say yes to those things that we really want to say no to, constantly do everything for other people until we completely burn out. And then what happens? We end up with a ton of resentments, right? Like, we do everything for other people, and then, you know what, they don't even come and do for me. And it turns into this whole thing where you're basically living your life trying to make other people happy by doing what you think that they want you to do. And then you end up resentful and completely lacking self-expression. And this is obviously a problem, right? Like, nobody wants to live their life like that. That's not very fun at all. And what I want you to realize is that people pleasing comes from you learning in childhood that in order to receive love, you had to betray yourself. You had to tone it down. You had to do something for somebody else. You receive like conditional love in childhood that basically says, I will give you love if you do this for me. Or I will give you love if you are, an A student. I will give you love if you are part of the dance team. But if you're not part of the dance team, then you're not my daughter, right? So many different scenarios that we can think of. But basically, an event happens, and like our subconscious mind does when we're children, soaks it up, right? Our mind is like that sponge. You've heard me say this many times before. Our mind, when we're children, is just forming beliefs. It's making meanings out of things. It's making truth to things that we might not actually think are true right now. But you don't have the option when you're a child to think about it, really. So you make it mean, in order to actually receive love, I have to do. In order to receive love, I have to, what's important to me and what matters to me actually doesn't matter as much as whatever I think I need to do for these other people. And this makes sense because as a child, you're dependent on other people. You have to have adults and people that take care of you in order to survive. So if in your little child mind, if you were not pleasing these people, and in your child mind, you came to the conclusion that you will not receive love, you will not be cared for, that you will therefore be alone and you will die. That is what happens inside of your nervous system. And that is why these people-pleasing patterns are so deeply ingrained. So it's interesting because we don't realize that for a long time. It's just kind of who we are, right? We sort of form the identity of being like the nice person, the good person, the person that people can count on, right? And there's almost like a pride sometimes associated with that identity of being somebody who's super caring and super giving. But inside, you actually end up miserable because, one, you don't actually get to form a strong identity of yourself because you're so concerned about other people's needs and you're so concerned around what you think is going to make them happy that you don't ever actually tune within what's happening inside of you. And when you don't actually take the time to tune in with what is yours, what's good for you, what matters for you, what's your beliefs, all of those things, you just don't form a strong sense of self. And then your self-image kind of just develops around doing for other people. And then your whole life just kind of becomes this entire existence to do what you think you need to do for others to receive the love that you actually want. When in reality, you really just want to fully express yourself, because if you were fully expressed, you wouldn't actually have to manipulate and please other people to get love. And what I want you to understand is that people pleasing is actually a form of manipulation. So we think we're doing something good for other people. We are like these self-righteous sort of people, right? I'm always doing for others. I'm always doing this. And what you're really trying to do is manipulate people into loving you by doing what you think that they want. And if this is the first time you're hearing something like that, that can sound a little bit harsh, but it's the truth. That's what's really going on. So just take a deep breath, breathe that out, because I want you to think about something, right? I want you to think how it would be if I am launching this course of mine. You hear me talk about Heal, Rise, Thrive. I'm launching this course. Now it's something that I'm launching because I absolutely love the program. I love helping women in this capacity. It's super lighting me up right now. But let's just say that I didn't really want to launch the program. Let's just say I wasn't really excited about it, but I had women asking me about it and they were like, oh, are you going to run it again? Are you going to do it? But I'm not excited about it. But I'm like, oh God, they really want me to run this program. They really want me to do it. So you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to run it, even though I don't want to, even though my energy is not aligned with this at all, even though it's just, oh God, I really don't want to do it. But you know what? They want it for me, so I'm just going to do it. And so I decide to run the program. How do you think the women that end up in that program would feel? Because they would feel my energy. Even if I showed up with a pretend smile on my face, they would feel my energy. And inside, I would be resentful because here I am doing this because for them, but you know, I don't really want to be doing this. So I have that going on inside. Can you see how damaging that would be? And it's really manipulative because I'm not being true to myself in that scenario. I'm not being true to what is actually going on around me. And I want to be liked so badly. And I don't want to disappoint people and I don't want to let them down. So I'm going to have to just do that. But really, I'm using them for my own personal gain because I can't look inside of myself and actually just sit with the discomfort that it might cause for me to say no to people. For me to say, hey, you know what? That's not going to happen right now. That is incredibly damaging, but most people live their lives like that. So afraid to say what they really want to say. So afraid to be who they truly are. Because the fear is that people won't like me. And the irony in all of this is when you actually are your true self, when you are really expressed, you have such a strong identity. You know who you are. That's the strongest energy there is. And that is magnetic. That is attractive. You will magnetize people into your life that are on that level. But that's not available to you when you're trying to manipulate people into liking you. That's only available when you're actually being your true self, when you're honoring yourself, when you're meeting the needs that you need to meet within yourself, when you know what is true for you and you stand firm in that. And will you disappoint people? Sure. I mean, go back to that example about the program. If I stood and said, no, I can't do this right now. It's just not aligned for me. Would I disappoint the people that wanted me to? Sure. But in the long run, we're all going to be better off because I wouldn't show up to my full capacity in that relationship. So when you're somebody who people pleases, you actually are having some really inauthentic relationships that lack true intimacy. Because authenticity only happens when you're being honest with yourself and with other people. Intimacy happens when you're being honest with yourself and with other people. So people always tell me that they want better relationships, that they want to feel more connected and all this stuff, but you can't do that if you're not being who you truly are. And so if you're getting this right now, you're probably like, okay, well, how do I stop being a people pleaser? Because this kind of sucks, right? And the start is learning to honor your needs. The start is releasing self-betrayal. And I want you to actually pay attention all day long. The little ways that you betray yourself, the little ways that you don't meet your own needs, and start tuning in to your body. What does it feel like to actually do the things that I want to do? And what does it feel like when I say yes to something that I don't want to do? And start honoring the feelings, the yeses that you're having inside of your body, the no's that you're having inside of your body. And this is part of becoming that woman that worships herself, right? It's part of becoming the worshipped woman, is to stop people pleasing and start being your true self. And when you do that, I guarantee your relationships get better. I guarantee you'll be happier and you're going to enjoy life more because you have more energy for the things that matter to you. And you'll love and appreciate yourself even more. And it's a process. It's a journey. It's a habit. It's an identity that you have to break. But it is so, so worth it. This is something that we do work on within Heal, Rise, Thrive. It is also something that I work heavily with my private one-on-one clients with. So if you are interested in either of those, again, the Heal, Rise, Thrive link will be in the show notes. If you're interested in private coaching with me, one-on-one work to really release things from the root and step into that new identity of the powerful you, you can just send me a message. Again, my Instagram is @Miss Kelly Kristen. If you loved this episode and you want to share it with another woman that needs to hear it, I would be so very, very grateful. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you soon.